So the first thing you need to know for a good content strategy is you need to understand what your goals are. And so those are usually at the business level: income, profit, bottom line, top line, that kind of thing. So usually it's the goals are a profit, kind of a profit kind of picture. But a lot of times when we're talking about business development, it's really more a matter of revenue, because in business development, you don't control costs or anything like that. You control revenue. I mean, other than the budget that you have to spend. So let's talk about, so I have one client right now who's looking at, they have two, all right, so marketing goals, like let's just call this revenue, right? Revenue. All right, and so how do they get revenue? Well, there's really, oh shoot, that's wrong. All right, let's remove that because I just realized, by the way, I'm using Figma right now to do this, and it's seeing how it works. It's okay. My handwriting is not as good on this. So you have recruiting and you have biz dev. So those are two totally separate departments. Recruiting is like HR, and so each one of these needs goals. So in this case, it breaks down into two sets of goals. Biz dev, yeah, we just put goals. I don't know, it's the same on both of them. Okay, so the real question with, let's say marketing, biz dev, is, and both of these are marketing tasks, because recruiting, we're asked to help them with recruiting as well. And so the funny thing about this client is they have two separate, I mean, it's not that funny, but two separate personas here, and then they have one persona here. In other words, they have, over here, they have people with one reason to buy, and then over here, or each, right? So like two reasons to buy, and then over here, it's one reason to buy. So I'm just going to undo those circles. All right. And so for each one of these, we have to really say, like, this answers the question who, and I'll write who out here, and who will span across this whole thing, right? Who is over there. That's kind of a weird way to do it. Anywho, let's make it smaller. So biz dev goals, recruiting goals, who, the real question in all of marketing, since you're working with people, marketing is working with people to find out how they can help you achieve your goals. And so it's always a who question. Recruiting is a who question. Biz dev is a who question. Who are we talking to? Who or what is going to help us reach our goals? And it's almost always a who. So then the question is, well, then who, like, how do you answer this who question? The who question is best answered with a persona. So let's make oh shoot, what am I doing here? Let's go back. All right, let me do this. All right, so the who question, let's come down here and we'll just say, okay, for each one of these, we need a persona. I mean, over here too, right? We need a persona. What's a persona? It's a description. Persona has a couple of things in it. So let's break this out. It has demographics. So demographics, the language of media. You need demographics if you're going to buy media usually. You might say SEO or Google Ads is different because you're using AdWords maybe, which describes the search, that kind of thing. But usually it's demographics. That's how you buy media. That's how you tell Facebook who you're trying to go after, right? You could call this psychographics, and then you can call this like their problem, like their situation description, right? Situation, let's call it. And usually you're talking about goals, problem, what are they trying to solve that we can help with? And so these things are all in the persona, and the persona picture, the person, whatever, some demographics, psychographics, maybe like another page with like a story, back here with the situation. A lot of times there'll be like a Meet Maria. I'll just put that to you, Meet Maria. Meet Maria is interesting because what it does is it says, it actually brings the character to life. So you're basically telling a story about one person in this audience, totally made up, right? Maria is made up. but she exemplifies the person you're talking to right in the middle. It could be a man, a woman, whoever your audience is. This person exemplifies that person who is in the middle of your target audience. And so you talk about her and you say, oh, Maria graduated from whatever, college, top of her class. She's single. She has her dog, Pippi Longstocking. She, likes to go to concerts and, like I don't know, typical single millennial living in a big city or something. But whatever, right? So you describe her. If it's a like a CFO, it's a professional, married with kids in college right now, saving up for the next kid to go to college, whatever, right? Make it up. Well, research it, but you get what I'm saying. So you have this what do we call this? Persona. I didn't even write it down. So persona. And why do we write a persona? Well, because we want the demographic information, right? We want that demographic. But the other thing is we want to write a creative brief, because the creative brief is what all this crapola right here boils down to, right? All the psychographic situation, Meet Maria, all that stuff boils down to a couple of questions. You'll love this because it's simple. So, and then we can say persona. Okay, let me make sure I'm going in the right order. So the who, and then persona, brief, and plan. Okay, so you have the persona, and then let's drag this down and make brief, and then we'll go plan, right? And hopefully I gave myself enough room here. So the brief, same thing, right? Only it's just one page. It's one page, and basically the brief answers the questions. What is it that we're selling? In a way that connects with people, connects with the audience. Who's it for? Right? Like, who's it for? Who's the audience? All this stuff gets distilled down into this part. And then, why does it matter to them, right? I'll just put to them, to the audience. Because here's what you're trying to do. You're saying, let's follow it from the top. You're saying, hey, here are our business goals, right? Big fat business goals. Well, to help us get there, we have biz dev goals and we have recruiting goals. And, well, let's just take the biz dev goals. Well, who do we have to convince to buy from us in order to, because the job of marketing is not operations. It's, how, like who will help us do this? How do we partner with people? How do we get people to partner with us in the most effective way possible for all the dollars we're spending? And so now you have, who will help us? Well, the who will help us is this persona. Well, how do we communicate to this persona? Oh, well, that's the brief, right? How do we communicate to them? How do we talk to them is the brief. It's the strategy for talking with them. I guess I can do this with a persona as well. All right, and so what is it, who's it for, and why does it matter? And there's a little more of a structure to this than that, because sometimes you have to have additional information, and then usually all this stuff distills down to I guess I'll just write it in here. It's a SMIT. Or, I don't know, single most compelling idea. So this is single most important thought. Single most important thought. So this usually goes at the very top. I mean, you do it last because it makes sense to say, what is it, who's it for, why does it matter, and then distill that down into a SMIT. And so what you want is you don't want this to be complicated. I mean, I've worked with some amateurs who basically they were, agency people who took themselves very seriously, and they made this overly complicated, and it was stupid, and then they made me do it, and I was not satisfied. I was not happy with it. The creatives couldn't use it because it was too complicated. This should be one page. And then any requirements, I mean, you can just have a section like requirements at the bottom, of the brief. Anyway, I'm not trying to teach you how to write a brief right now. But anyhow, and then the plan. So the plan is, this is probably, well, let me think about this because I didn't write it all out, but you have usually a media mix, let's call it, right? Like a mix. And then you have a schedule. And I'll just make like a little calendar here, a calendar-like object here. And then a schedule. So the mix is basically all the stuff we're going to do. The mix is all the stuff we're going to do. The plan is where and when we're going to do it. And then there's a budget. So the budget's sometimes another. So that's like, let's say this is a calendar. This is a spreadsheet. Even though they look very similar. All right. Good. And then the mix is just like, hey, here's what we want to do. Here's thing number 1. Da, da, da. Here's thing number 2. La, la, la. All right, cool. You got all that. Now, let's just copy these bad boys over. Let's see if how easily I can do this. Oh, yeah. Wait. Ooh, I only got that thing. Let's see. Do that. I actually want to copy all y'all. Go like that. There we go. Bring this over here, and I got plan copied as well. And do it again, and it copies it. Yeah, that's pretty slick. All right. Get the old trusty eraser out. Okay, cool. So now you have it all right here. Now you see some of the magic that is Figma. All right, so mix, calendar, and then spreadsheet for the budget. So I guess I should write budget down here too. Budget, schedule. Okay, cool. And that's pretty much it. So that's really what we're trying to get after. Because once you have the plan, right, you have the mix, you have the schedule and the budget. This is really a media plan because it doesn't include the brief. So let's say plan, and we'll just say media. All right, good. So now we have that. Now the whole thing makes sense, right? Like the whole how you do a strategy. This is just the basics. So now what we're going to do from here is we're going to look at the we're gonna look at the personas. We're going to create the brief from that. And then after that, we're going to create the mix that we suggest. And what we're going to do for this client is we're just going to say, hey, you probably need the biggest package you could buy is like, get a blog, get an email list set up so you can talk to people all the time, set up some regular social, so you have a meaningful social presence with really interesting content. Use the 80-20 rule, so you're providing 80% value, 20% kind of calls to action. You need to consider what else? Website SEO, so that people can find you in search. And then you need to consider ads to find people who you don't know, because all the stuff I just mentioned are things that for people who know you, blog, email, social. But then SEO and then any ads are all meant to reach out to people who don't know you already. And then one of the biggest things about this, and I should have put this on here, so let's do it, is really important. It's super important to me because it tells you how hard your money is working, and that's just measurement, right? And so that's usually like a Google Data Studio, Looker Studio, or whatever they're calling it these days. Looker just sounds creepy to me. I don't know why. All right, so you have that, or you can have a spreadsheet. It doesn't matter. Whatever the easiest way to keep things simple is. And what you want to do with that, I'll just have one. What you want to do, your approach to this should be what I usually recommend is just keep it simple at first, and then just look at only the most high level, like direct things related, because that's what we've been doing this whole time. We just said, what's the high level business goal? What's the number you're trying to reach? And then who's going to help you reach it? Let's figure out how to talk to them. And then let's get down to the bottom and just say, okay, are we accomplishing that goal that we set at the very top, right? This guy right here, are we accomplishing that? And then we get on here and just say, okay, well, how do we measure that? And so probably what we're looking at here is just like, what's the highest number? Like, what's the revenue number, right? Let's look at revenue. But then once we look at revenue, we ask some questions and we say, well, what contributes to revenue? And then we have like, oh, it's this here. Oh, it's this other thing. Oh, it's this other thing. Okay, well, let's measure those. And then we decide, oh, really, the most important one, the most effective one is this one. So let's push on that. And let's say there are some things we can do to make that move, right? So now we're building it out. And this report right here is going to reflect that. We're going to start adding things, but not too fast. See, that's the thing. As a leader, you don't want to get confused by the data. The most important thing for you is to say, no, I'm going to keep the simple things. And if I don't understand this, I am not moving on to anything else. But once I understand the revenue, then I'm going to start to focus on, well, where are we bringing in the most revenue from? Like, what's the most effective? And then you start troubleshooting, you start learning about how your people buy. I mean, the measurement is the key to every understanding, and it just takes time. You'll start out with a measurement, and then you'll develop like a funnel, because you want to see how are things coming down the funnel and turning into, reward. I'll draw a star there because that's a reward. Beautiful star. And then move that up. All right. And then you'll have a couple of funnels, and but the point is, you're really getting to know your audience, and it's building over time, right? As you make decisions, and as your measurement people, hopefully maybe Resound, but whoever's helping you measure, you and them work together to figure out what that funnel looks like, and just how to craft that funnel over time. What's working, what's not working for your industry, your town, your wherever you work, wherever you're selling, and then what's working, for those particular people in that industry. All right, so I've gone on long enough. Hopefully this helps. I think it's a really it's a smart top-down way to understand your marketing, and just how to kind of take it from the top, because as leaders, I think we really need to understand things from the top down. If we don't, we're being order takers. But if we understand it from the top down, we're able to contribute to a conversation at the highest level, which is really right here, right? Because you understand the goals. And if you understand the goals, you can ask questions about goals, and you can create a strategy, and you can hold everybody accountable to that strategy. All right, like I said, that's enough. I will talk with you guys later.